Welcome back, all you loyal Point 3 people. Welcome back to the Point 3 podcast. Bunkaloo Spider-Brando about to give you some knowledge for the first 3 episodes of Loki Season 2, which is airing right now on Disney+. We have 3 episodes, Ouroboros, Breaking Brad, and 19... Ooh, got that wrong. I always say 1983. I don't know why I can't say 1893. I don't know why I can't do that.
I always want to say 1898 for some reason.
Well, listen, shout out to episode 3. As always, when we do these reviews, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about things that maybe have happened, things that might happen, things we like, things we don't. Spider-Brando, do you want to plug our Discord? It's a special place to be. Hit us with some facts.
Of course. So our Discord is the place to be on point with Point 3. We have weekly updates on whenever our episodes drop. They are the first to know. Any events that we might be planning or feedback that we might be looking for is always the first place to go to, and we ask our community members to see how we could improve every week. And not only that, but just chat and have a good time with them. It's great to be able to chat amongst ourselves and chat amongst the community. It's always a grand old time. Like, we got Spider-Man 2 this weekend. Great game so far. I have a couple hours in it, but I've been talking to some people in there and in our little gaming channel thread. It's always nice to just always hop in and find some people to play games with or whatnot. So if you're not in the Discord, join right now. No pressure.
No pressure. But again, we're talking about Loki Season 2. Drop in the comments if you're seeing this. What's your favorite episode? What's been your favorite part? Who's your favorite character? But without further ado, Spider-Brando, what have you loved about the first 3 episodes of Loki Season 2 so far?
This show has been, I'd say, phenomenal. I think going into Season 2, we had our whole preview episode. We had our expectations and broke up of what Season 1 did so good at. And I think Season 2 is just doing nothing but building on it. Episode 3 specifically was one of my favorite episodes. The way it was produced, They had a whole 1890 episode called 1893. And it just felt like you're watching an episode from a story that was taking place back then in 1893. The way they had people running around, just camera shakes and stuff. But regardless, this episode really did a lot for background knowledge on none other than Victor Timely. And I'm very excited to see where this propels the show forward to the latter half of the season. It's legit just picked up from where Season 1 left off of what the heck is going on, the high stakes of not knowing the true threats, and just picked it up and ran with it even more.
So it's funny that you say the high stakes piece, right? I just want to set the stage for my Thursdays real quick before I get into what we like in that. And I do have to agree with you. I think that episode 3, in a weird way, is going to be the best episode of the entire series. Like, when you look at what's highly rated, I think it takes us back to kind of those early Disney Plus days where it takes 3 episodes for a Disney Plus show to really get going. But once that 3rd episode hits, the show takes off and it's this is great, And for this show specifically, I'm having a hard time watching it as soon as it drops. Because I'm pretty invested in the Boys spinoff Gen V. And sadly, Thursday Night Football as well. But the weird thing is, I don't feel pressure to watch this show, but I don't want to stack the episodes and then binge them all at once. I want to watch it before the next episode drops.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you were mentioning it when you watch this episode, and you're like, oh my god, like this is an awesome episode. It was, and that kind of it like sparks something again. I think I've been on an MCU low. I'm not fatigued. Don't get me wrong. Like we've talked about this in our previous episodes. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down the video playlist and we talk about superhero fatigue. I don't feel that. I'm trying to balance between the reboot rumors and what may come after Secret Wars, which is still 4 years plus away, give or take some delays here and there. But we talked about this in our preview episode. Definitely go check that out. We had an awesome guest, Hannah's Pops, on there. What is Loki doing for the MCU as a whole? Right? We really loved Loki season 1. What's it doing for us now? It has a lot to kind of pick back up, especially when it comes to Kang, right? And this episode specifically completely got rid of any preview thought, any episode 1, episode 2. I know that there's real life stuff going on with Jonathan Majors, and I'm not saying there's a support or defense for what the accusations and what has happened, but gosh, is he talented. And it's difficult to like not love him on screen. Like he's really good at what he does. And
100%.
it's one of those fine line things. Like I didn't love Flash, right, by any means. But there are people who love Flash and they could look beyond the Ezra Miller stuff and all that. Like, not to make that anything about this. It's not the point. Not saying their support or favor in any way, here or there, but it's really hard to look at Kang and be like, I don't want to see more of you in the saga. Like he did it in season 1. He's doing it in season 2. Quantumania, he was still the best part of that movie. And I mean, he's been the best part of this. Obi's been good. But this Victor Timely piece, Miss Minutes, what was that about?
Oh, dude, that she got me. She got me. I have no idea what to expect from her and like the whole Ravonna
Yeah.
arc. Like this episode threw some shambles and like some theories. Like we all knew he created or some Kang created Miss Minutes, but which one and why is like we're starting to get into some weird paradoxical
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to this time stuff. And I love it. I eat that stuff up all the time when it comes to like we should know where it's gonna go, but we don't know where it's gonna go because anything is possible with infinite timelines.
Yeah.
That's what I really like that this episode like put into perspective. Like what I really feel like I don't know. Like I think that this everything that we've seen so far has just still been part of He Who Remains' script and
Agree.
plot.
Agree.
And like there's no way he'd cause 4 people, or was it 1, 2 yeah, 4 people to pretty much go back in time to the same exact point in 1893 to meet up with this Victor Timely.
Yeah.
That has no idea what's going on besides having these crazy premonitions of TVA stuff and dreams. Like I absolutely love it.
It almost feels like the thing that we talked about before in our preview is kind of the adventure aspect that Loki brings to the MCU, that they're going on some sort of crazy wild multiversal adventure. You don't know who's going to be around the corner, anything can happen type of thing, right? And we know that Kang, or a variant of Kang, is the ultimate big bad of this saga. Bless you, by the way.
Thank you.
You know that he's the big bad, but at least for me, I really am leaning more into He Who Remains that we saw at the end of Loki season 1 isn't really gone, right? Or he laid
I
out
don't
this
think so.
roadmap to really like trigger his main event. Because you have to think, we're getting in the maybe potential theory aspects of something, kind of jumping the gun from point 2, but there is a piece of this where he's set on a journey and you're basically getting to the point where you're unlocking the ultimate prime king. And when he's like, I'll see you soon type of thing, right? This is like the Beyonder level king that all the other kings are worried about, that the king from Quantumania couldn't hold a candle to. And this guy is like, guess what? The reason that this is going to be reboot is because of me, because I'm going to fix everything, change it, make it how I want it, because this is how it actually should be. And I just make time, and that's the new future of the MCU. Beyonder King is like that guy.
They would answer. That would make the most sense. It seems like what they're gearing towards, because there's no way they could just do Ant-Man 3 Kang dirty like that. Like, there's got to be a greater. You can't just use a variant Kang to be like, oh yeah, this is just like what a Kang can be without bringing him back in the future. And there'd be no better way than making that Beyonder slash He Who Remains. And even then, like, I just want to know why. I just want to know more about Kang and He Who Remains, and like what led him to come to that decision of ending the multiversal war or whatever. It's got to be part of his plan to end with one war, but then have another one start.
Yeah.
To like truly break reality, and maybe some celestials impact.
That is a really, really good question, because for him to be all knowing and to be able to handle these timelines, you got to figure that, like, oh, I guess answer me this question. I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer to it, but each universe, each branch timeline has their own celestial, no? So, like, doesn't that
Got it. Yeah.
that makes Kang more powerful than them, more powerful than the Eternals, like on the same level as the Watcher? But you got to figure it at some point, and he's got to feel bigger than Thanos, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that yet, but
Not yet.
episode 3 made me feel like, I can't put my thumb on it, but it made me feel like they're on that track to, like, we're about to get, by the end of this show, we're going to get a massive reveal that is going to once again shake this saga, just like the end of season 1 did.
I think so, and that's what that's what Disney Plus shows should be.
I agree.
Should be like, in my opinion. But yeah, I watched this with a friend last night of episode 3. A lot of our comments are on episode 3 just because it's the most recent and freshest, and I'd say the best of the season so far. But I had a theory with one of my friends about Kang and this whole time paradox stuff I brought up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's got to be this guy, He Who Remains. He's got to obviously know how the future ends and set on this plot to get a Loki to befriend another Loki, to then that Loki kills said He Who Remains, which causes a paradoxical loop of this whole cycle starting with them going after Timely back
Mm-hmm.
then. And then that Timely is how we get to, obviously there's a lot of gaps in between of 1893 and like the end of time.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of what's this anime called? There's a lot of, when time stuff happens in animes, or time travel happens in a lot of animes, there's always like a paradoxical loop because of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like they're going for, which is a little different than what many like live action time travels and stuff in our pop culture media has done. At least I'm aware of. I could be totally wrong, but it just reminds me of sort of anime type. Like, have you seen Erased by any chance?
No, I thought you were talking about like Steins Gate or something along those lines.
Steins Gate 2. I actually just started that, which is why I think
That's good.
I have these well, I've been having these like insane time travel crazy theories that I've been having. um but essentially where I'm going with that is, I guess we brought it up earlier with the Beyonder, and tying that all in of He Who Remains is technically that, or he planned all these events for Beyonder to rise, or himself becoming the Beyonder, by noticing like, oh, this king from Quantumania got lost in space. Let me go switch into his body with my knowledge, or
Mm.
maybe some technological advancement like that a king could do. Um, and that all started with him wanting the root cause of creation of these universes,
Hmm.
and that led me to the celestial theory of him wanting to become as powerful to not just jump from timeline to timeline, but to create timelines and like pretty much be sort of God and more powerful than
Yeah.
the Celestials. I would love that. That would be, and then that would kind of lead to like, wow, like Kang is trying to become the Celestials, or like have as much power as one. And then when we eventually get to the Celestials, that'll be like, damn, if he wanted to get as powerful as one, they're probably pretty menacing too.
Yeah.
Because we don't want that villain problem that the MCU has of just not being able to one up. Like, they gotta, obviously, Thanos is hard to top because
Hmm.
of what he did, but realistically, not hard to top when you think of a whole multiverse. Like in Loki episode 3, they had that whole moment where a bunch of timelines are getting pruned, and I forgot, B15. Yeah, B15 was just like trillion or like billions of lives.
Hmm.
But realistically, throughout the vast multiverse and like infinite timelines, that's just like trillions and trillions and
Yeah.
trillions and trillions of lives, which is very menacing on a larger scale. That's like what Thanos did in that little snap of half of the population. Ain't shit compared to what a whole multiversal war and like what a celestial can do. It's just six
In
galaxies at once and boom.
and even to that point, right? You have a lot of people. This is where I'll say this is what I like about Loki, but I think is a miss right now in Loki is moments like that should feel a lot bigger. And I think there should be more weight on every single episode in terms of the actions that they're taking. Like the fact that the loom in episode one is going crazy and there's that whole mad dash to be like, we got to fix this. And if we don't fix it, then we're in trouble. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, there's too much time left, sure. But then at the same point in time, there's a video game that's out right now that has a god tier intro that's just like, oh wow. You know what I mean? I didn't feel that wow in Loki episode one. Then episode two comes around and you're just like, the ending of that should have been like bam. And I'm like, still no, but like, could you imagine? Just like you had said. Episode three comes out and you're just like, okay, I feel it a little bit more. But again, in my mind, I'm still stuck on Kang being the big bad, even though we've seen greater Thanos level threats in the MCU. I go back to What If, Infinity Ultron, massive. I would argue that Scarlet Witch and Multiverse of Madness, massive. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
even though just those two off the top of my head, like I think they were a bigger deal in a way. I don't roast me in the
Oh yeah.
comments on that being like, what do you mean? Infinity Sagas is like, I get it, I understand, but from a scale standpoint, attacking the multiverse is more than Thanos could do within his own universe with stones that got nerfed in Loki season one. Um, but I think that's kind of the the low piece to me. Again, there has to be some way by the end of this that we get a hint of really what is a He Who Remains or some variant in his line on his plan what is the ultimate largest threat? This is the other thing I want to throw out when you're talking. You're mentioning time and like the loop and all that. To me personally, with all of these issues and worlds colliding, and we're going to get in the Marvels in a couple weeks here of like the time swapping and like time and space and things, like nothing is staying the same and everything is meshing together.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that it isn't, again, a Kang or a variant of He Who Remains who ultimately has enough power to straighten things out in the end? That's where you get your reboot kind of thing, right? Everything is just crumbled together, and it's like, listen, I can't give you how things were. I can't put things back the way that they were, but at least we can get rid of the chaos and we can just move forward here. And there's some massive event or something that happens, but I think Loki season 2 is still giving us a good idea of just what organized chaos can look like in the MCU. And you're able to play with different characters in different spaces and different times, and it makes sense. And there's one at least origin point in the TVA where things can be kind of like that home base before you reload and go back out into the city or something. You know what I mean? Like this is the
I like
cone
that. Yeah.
aspect of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I episode 3 definitely got me excited about the remainder of the series. The Marvels mini trailer previews, leaks of reviews and stuff are kind of dropping now, and I don't know. I think the MCU is going to end on a pretty high note
For this year or just
this year.
like eventually? Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's. I don't want to get too into the Marvels, but I did have that theory where we're gonna see the Eternals in that movie, and I'm still just casually flying out in space. I'm still tripling down on that. Um, but yeah, I know we're both excited for that movie. I wasn't in the first half of the year, and then the trailer dropped, and I'm like, give me all the tickets. I wish my friends were like that though, but they struggling to find people to see it with opening night.
It's going to be a very interesting next couple of years to see how projects get followed up, and it's like always like you have to take a deep breath. That's how I'm looking at the MCU. It's like, all right, let's go, and you're like, dang, that was awesome. And then the next thing comes on, dang, that's awesome. Here's a gap, and then maybe they throw a dud. We get an Echo series that people don't love, and it's going to get just dragged through the mud.
About that.
And yeah, so I don't know, but definitely stay tuned to the Point 3 podcast. We need to get Hero Scroll on here. It's not feeling well, a little under the weather, / playing Spider-Man 2. He just didn't want you guys to see this episode and hear us talk. No, he should be back for the next couple episodes when we get the review out there. But Spider-Man, any other last thoughts?
I feel like I have a bunch of theories, but we could probably do a separate theory video.
Should we do a theory lightning round, 30 seconds, best theory?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm down.
Give the people what they want. They want to hear the theory. You can't drop that and then there's like, I can't wait for the next couple.
Yeah,
it's away.
that's true. That is true.
Sprinkle it.
So I feel like my mind's been going crazy with these Loki theories ever since I watched that episode, and pretty spit like 2 crazy ones out there, but realistically, I don't think they're gonna do many like time paradoxical, like, oh, this is like meant to be like all part of his plan type things, because I feel like a lot of viewers will be getting confused by it, and Marvel knows that. They're very already confused about variants and timelines in general. So I don't think it'll be too time paradoxical like that, but I still realistically think a Loki will die between Sylvie and Loki. We hope it's not Tom Hiddleston Loki for like the 5th, 6th time, however many times he's died. But I really feel like this will be his true sacrifice to try to like redeem his sacrifice in Infinity War. He learned not to just go up to the big bad and try to play him with a knife. Now he has to play him a whole different way. And I feel like he's finally realizing that, especially getting to see how his life turned out going through all these other events and seeing how important trillions of lives across the multiverse and branch timelines are. Um so I think Loki will sacrifice himself for the greater good by the end of the season.
Mm, mm, mm.
I think that was a little longer than 30 seconds, but
No. That was good. That was good. I hope that before he sacrifices himself, if he goes that route, I think that's fair. We do get a Thor drop, some thoughts and reflection kind of on that kind of stuff of like his point of view after changing from being swiped from 2012, since he's doing some reflections like he did at the diner, I think in episode 1, maybe it was 2, talking about the Battle of New York. I do think that Mobius will take over the TVA as kind of the leader. I'm really hoping for a multiversal reference or cameo to the Fox universe.
that would be awesome.
I am hoping, because Mobius has always been that name dropper. He's kind of been the first person who's like vampires, this, that, like all that kind of stuff. And he just dropped another one in episode 3 of Baldur the Brave. I think it would be cool. Man, you want to know what I wish he would do? Loki explains Thor. Mobius knows about Thor, and he's like, "Well, there's no Thor here, but we have like a Beta Ray Bill kind of thing, or something like that. Like something cool like that, being like
that would be
a
cool.
brand new character. I think that'd be pretty sweet. But
The possibilities are endless with all these timelines and universes.
Awesome.
Like,
it's so cool. It's so cool. And again, even this 20 some odd minutes has gotten me more excited about seeing what comes. Regardless of what happens, I would say there's like a 5% chance it flops and they do something like stupid like they did in Multiverse of Madness with the hot dog stand. There's no way that they end this with some sort of joke that's so self-contained it means nothing to anyone.
I don't think so. I mean, just knowing what the projects we have coming up, I feel like this has been something planned and just like Multiverse of Madness was a little. They had COVID going on. They had a bunch of like reshoots, rewriting. So it was hard to get a grasp on planning like how big to go without it feeling too disconnected and like paying off. Whereas Loki's like, yeah, I mean, there's the writer's strike going on, delaying some projects and stuff, but we're still in a pretty close vicinity to when like Deadpool 3 would come out and to like where the story, like multiverse storyline, could progress.
Yeah.
So if they tease us again with some BS freaking flapperjack cutscene, post credit scene, or just make us disappointed, we're gonna be pretty upset.
No. Won't do it. But anyways, with that, everyone, thank you for tuning into this episode from the Point 3 podcast. Don't forget to join us Wednesday for our YouTube live stream Wednesdays, beginning doing 9 o'clock Eastern, where we're going to be talking about the latest news, reviews, insider scoops. Also, catch the full episode of our podcast anywhere where you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. If you're watching Loki, Season 2, coming out on Thursday, let us know your thoughts over the Point 3 podcast on Instagram or TikTok. We maybe will feature your comments in our next episode. That'd be kind of cool. But if you drop it in the Discord, which has been scrolling down below, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know where to be. But everyone, appreciate you all. And until Wednesday, keep watching, keep reading, and keep nerding out. Peace.